Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday, and thanks for joining us here on this April 16th, 2026. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update. Hope you're having a great week so far. One more day until the weekend, and I know many of you are probably looking forward to those nice temperatures and everything else that's in store for this weekend. We appreciate all of you watching right now on our Facebook and YouTube live streams, also our OTT platform. And, of course, we are here each and every weekday at 1 p.m., pending any breaking news, trials, or anything else like that. I want to get right to what we're working on today. A man in custody following a standoff at a Ridgeland home. Police say it happened on Woodland Springs Drive, where officers responded to and found a 2-year-old child inside that residence. Authorities say a woman was able to escape, but the child remained inside the home. Carl Sanchez Jr. later barricaded himself in the attic before being taken into custody. The 2-year-old was safely rescued. Sanchez is charged with domestic violence, simple assault, and child neglect. He was also wanted on felony charges out of Texas. Got one person already saying hello on this Thursday, Melissa Price. Good evening, everyone. Miss Melissa, I hope you're doing well. It's good to hear from you. It's been a little bit since you've checked in with us, and we appreciate that. We are also learning new details this afternoon about the mass shooting in Belzona that took place over the weekend. 4 days ago, investigators now releasing new information about when it happened and who is now handling the case. Now, on Monday, 3 on Your Side initially was told the mass shooting happened during the Catfish Festival, but Humphreys County investigator Edward Hunter says that's not correct. He says the shooting actually took place at a nightclub on Silver City Road just after 11 p.m. and was a separate incident not connected to the festival. Hunter also says the case is now being handled by city police and the FBI at the request of a judge. Officials want to emphasize the Catfish Festival itself was successful and it was an unrelated event.
The Catfish Festival has been going on for years with no issues and no concerns. This happened way after 10 o'clock that night. As a matter of fact, I was in my bed, and all of a sudden I heard 10 to 20, 30 rounds of shots. And I was like, oh my God, do we need to jump to the floor? And we stay about 4 miles from when the gunshot took place.
And we also reported Monday that 4 suspects had been arrested in the case. Investigator Hunter says that is not accurate either. They are actually persons of interest. Anyone with information about the incident is urged to contact the Belzona Police Department or Crime Stoppers. So we just want to make sure and get that clarification out there for folks who are following this case. Lawmakers returned to the state capitol with the expectation of overriding one or more of the governor's vetoes yesterday, but after hours of discussions, most of them behind closed doors, all of those vetoes still stand. Now, the House had voted to override 2 of Governor Tate Reeves' vetoes, one involving opioid settlement money and another for the Gulf Coast Restoration Revolving Loan Program. The Senate was not successful in any of its votes, though. The Senate actually brought up only one bill for a vote, the attempt to override the partial veto on the opioid settlement money. The House had already voted to override, but needed at least a 2/3 vote in the Senate to make it official. That vote failed. Senate Minority Leader Derek Simmons said Democrats did not side with the governor when they cast their nay votes.
We wanted to take up Senate Bill 2477, the Rural Health Transformation Bill, first. Because we did not take that bill up, unfortunately, Democrats were not interested in anything else.
Now, one measure that died because of the legislative failure to override the governor's veto was a measure that would have restored suffrage to someone who had been convicted of shoplifting and a drug charge. Now that the state of Mississippi is reshaping the authority over Jackson's water system, customers and cities who rely on it believe positive change is coming. That's the story in Byram. Well, they almost always feel the pain of water shortages anytime Jackson also does. Now, Mayor Richard White is grateful the Metro Jackson Area Water Authority Act was signed into law. It's actually Metro Jackson Water Authority Act. I added a word in there. He says for years, Byram was not being heard when pipes broke and repairs would take too long. He also doesn't believe the current system can keep up with the growth that Byram has seen over the years. But having representation on a new board with the state leaves him hopeful transparency will get better.
Business right here that spent weeks trying to get in touch with somebody up there, and I finally got him hooked up with the people. That's not the way it's supposed to work. The people that work up there in Jackson Water are supposed to solve problems, and we're not getting that done.
Now, despite the encouragement for this new board, Mayor White says his end goal for Byram is still to get them on their own water system completely. The Jackson Airport Revitalization Project was among several initiatives impacted by Governor Tate Reeves' recent line item veto. The Jackson Municipal Airport Authority was seeking a $500,000 funding match that would have leveraged a $2.5 million federal grant. The money was intended for priority upgrades, repairs to escalators, elevators, and other airport improvements. Well, Mississippi Representative Fabian Nelson criticized the veto, saying the upgrades are necessary for the airport's future.
We have to realize this is our airport. We're going to have to support our airport, and we're going to have to understand that it's getting better. I've seen changes in just the past year from things that the airport is able to do, but I don't want people to get discouraged. Hang in there. If we get the infrastructure improvements that we need, we will be able to get more carriers to come into the airport.
Now, JMAA has also been challenging the state's move to take over ownership of the airport. A trial in that case is scheduled to begin in 2 months. In a Facebook post earlier this week, Governor Reeves defended his decision, writing in part, "I am not for giving your money away to any entity that has wasted millions on lawyer fees that could have been spent on infrastructure improvements, especially if that lawsuit is against the state of Mississippi." Now, he didn't mention the airport by name, but it's clear from that post that he is referring to JMAA and that ongoing legal fight involved there. Jackson's mayor wants private donors to help pay the new police chief's salary. It's a move that raises questions about using that kind of money for a public position. Mayor John Horn had made the announcement in a statement released to 3 on Your Side, the one that we first told you about, this proposed contract involving the proposed contract being pulled for Chief Rochelle Brackney. Now, city council members raised concerns about the proposed pay package. Horn said Jackson needs top talent to lead crime fighting. He believes Brackney fits that standard. He also said he's identified a philanthropic option to fund the contract, but has not released details of that to 3 on Your Side. We have requested that from the city's communications director, Nick Lott. We're still waiting to hear back. The mayor's statement saying, in part, since taking office, we've been focused on finding creative and responsible ways to fund our vision for Jackson. We see this matter in the same light. Public-private partnerships have been a defining feature of this administration from day one. A couple other folks saying hi on this Thursday. Denise Rhodes saying hello. Hope you're doing well, Denise. And Britt saying hi as well. Britt, hope your Thursday is going well too. Melissa saying she's doing good, asking how we're doing. And yeah, you know what? It gets a little busy. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming and you just have to kind of roll with the punches, and then you can come up for air every once in a while. I kind of feel like that at work every now and then. And too, whenever you get these allergies that are going around, I know folks probably hear I'm congested. It's one of those things when the roller coaster weather system comes through, we tend to get stuck with the aftermath of that, and the pollen does not help. So I hope that those of you who are watching us today are not having to deal with that. Our last story of this update today is involving the state auditor taking on a private prison company. This private company paid millions in taxpayer dollars to operate Mississippi prisons. It's now accused of failing to provide enough staff to keep them secure. State Auditor Shad White says Management and Training Corporation did not meet staffing requirements at 3 facilities in the state: East Mississippi Correctional, Marshall County, and Wilkinson County Correctional. He says the state continued paying as if those positions had been filled, leaving MTC owing more than $7 million, about $400,000 in East Mississippi, nearly $1 million in Marshall County, more than $6 million in Wilkinson County.
So we did not see any $4.5 million offer from MTC. We gave them a shot to repay that balance. They did not do that. So then what we did is issued a demand, which is a formal letter. And that demand says you have 30 days to repay $7.4 million.
You heard White mentioned that briefly. MTC had said it had repaid money, said that it's already repaid in a statement to us nearly $6 million and offered that additional $4.5 million to settle the remaining balance. Again, White disputes that. The company points to pandemic-era hiring challenges and says MDOC officials were aware of those staffing shortages. The case is now in the hands of the Attorney General, who will decide whether or not to prosecute. White says he expects it to end up in court, but again, it is the Attorney General's office that makes that determination and makes that discretion. As we have seen in the past, the state auditor can investigate things, but the state auditor, it's almost like a delineation of responsibilities. The state auditor investigates. We saw that with the welfare scandal, but it is up to the AG, or in other cases, the federal government, to make a case in terms of prosecutions. So White has, his team has investigated all this for several years. They've turned over their findings to the AG. The AG will make a determination on whether or not that should be prosecuted. And of course, if it's not, and if for whatever reason agencies drag their feet, I'm sure you'll hear from the auditor on that. That is all the time we have for this edition of the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update on your Thursday, April 16th. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host each and every weekday, unless we get preempted or something happens. But our First Alert weather team will be in here at 2:30 to let you know more about how warm this weekend's going to get, and our early evening newscasts begin at 4 p.m. on air and online. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.